What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of JaAR. JaAR, for those of you that may be new, stands for Joe
and Amy
Review. It's our weekly show where we go over the magic stories as they're posted on Wizard's website, and we're actually back for an actual story this week, which I'm super excited about. Before we start, just a little disclaimer at the beginning. I am a little under the weather, so I do apologize if I'm clearing my throat and etc. I'm fighting through it because this is an interesting one this week. Speaking of this week, the story that we have is World Class by Mark Rosewater, which we've reviewed Mark Rosewater articles on this show before, a couple of times over the past years or so. But this is the first story that we're reviewing by Mark Rosewater because this is the first story written by Mark Rosewater, by his own admission and that of Alison Luhrs as well. My quick review at the beginning is, if you are excited for Unstable, you should read this story. Yeah. If you follow the spoilers and you know what the cards are and you know what they look like, read the story. It's totally worth your time.
My opinion is, if you're not excited about Unstable, read the story so you can get excited.
That's fair. That's totally fair. So yeah, what we always say here is we review, we do not summarize. So we recommend that you go read the story first and then come back here. It was a pretty quick read, in my opinion. Onto the full review itself, unless you had anything more to add.
No.
Okay. So onto the full review itself. This story was presented in an interesting way.
Yes.
There are a lot of times where movie directors, television directors, etc., or writers have issues expressing the background of their world to us as viewers. And they fight to try to figure out the best way to do it. And sometimes it comes off as forced, because you have two people who clearly know that the other one knows certain information, still telling them that information, which is more for the audience than it is for the person that they're speaking to.
Right.
And then at that point, why not just have a narrator? In this instance, what Mark did in his writing was he had students giving reports on the government of Bablovia, which is the name of the city/plane/state that Unstable is set in. And I thought that at first I was a little wary, because I was like, if that's the government that runs your country, wouldn't the kids know that? But it's hard to tell, based on the language used and the vocabulary used, the age of these students. It might have said at the beginning what grade they were in, and I just completely forgot, which is fine. I'll go take a look at it later.
I don't think it did.
I don't remember. I feel like
sure.
I don't remember. I really don't.
But based on the vocabulary, as you said, it kind of, to me, feels like they're older kids.
Right. But also, I had just the distinct pleasure, as did Amy, of being brought up in the good old United States of America educational system, and I do not deny for a second that a large number of students who went to school with us probably did not fully understand the inner workings of our government, even at the most base level. If you do, and you live in the States, great. If you live outside of the States and you think we're dumb Americans, that's fine too. I'm not going to argue it necessarily. I don't think there's a reason to. But it's the concept of these students are giving these reports on the ins and outs of the government. What I thought was a little unrealistic, but made sense, was that the students had every answer to every question that the teacher asked. Sometimes it was in depth of like, and what do they do, and what is their goal, and the student had detailed answers to that. Is every student that gives a report going to be that prepared in every class?
Nope.
Not in the classes that I was in. But for the story and for the purpose of that story in getting the information across to us, it makes sense that if the teacher was asking the question, there would be an answer waiting, whether it to be a comedic answer or a real answer to give us more background.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I had no problems with it whatsoever. Like I said, I was wary going in because I was like, oh, this is the method they're using to deliver this information to us. It's just like students giving reports. That seems a little lame, but actually thinking about it, it makes perfect sense. And so I retract that thought process immediately, because I thought it worked out really well. I don't know what you thought about that in particular delivery system.
I thought it worked out well in terms of feeling when it was over that I understood the information pretty well, and that it sounds fun and cool. But as you said, the vocabulary, the being very direct and precise and detailed with answering every question, not super realistic.
Right. I mean, you know, it's
it's definitely a fun and creative way to tell a backstory. Or describe a world.
Right. The analogy I was going to draw is we just recently reviewed the Planeswalker's Guide to Ixalan stories, and there were 2 of them. And I say stories, again, we discussed it in that review, and you can go back and watch either or both of those, but that was much more of a textbook type of a scenario, as opposed to this, which was purely story-based, and yet did the exact same thing in giving you all of the information that you needed about the ins and outs of a world. I don't know which I liked more.
I definitely liked this one more, but at the same time, does it really give you a feeling like Unstable should?
So
it was still very sort of, I don't know. It doesn't feel unstable.
My favorite part of the whole thing was the backstory on the Grand Calcutron.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that was funny. That it went from this guy who really liked toast, and so he took a toaster with him on vacation, to replacing his hand with a toaster because he didn't need his hand, to then replacing his leg with a refrigeration unit, to replacing his finger with a butter knife, and then just more and more and more modifications as other people modified themselves as well, and now he's the Grand Calcutron. But he also has toast whenever he wants. That's amazing. That's so funny. And now I have to go back and analyze the Grand Calcutron art to see if I can see that toaster and butter knife and refrigeration unit, because when I originally looked at it, it just looked like a lot of calculators and kind of prints of things from like an adding machine or something like that, like the prints of paper that the reams of paper that kind of come out of the back of it. So I'm definitely going to have to go and look and see if that was a consideration in the art style for Grand Calcutron, or if that's purely flavor for the story itself. But
flavor for toast.
Oh God, yes, butter, fantastic, because everybody loved the fact that this dude was walking around with butter in his leg refrigerator. So funny, so absolutely hilarious. And we learned about all the different groups. We learned about the Agents of Sneak, the Order of the Widget, the League of Dastardly Doom, the Goblin Explosioneers, and the Crossbreed Labs. We learned about their leader or leaders, and who they are and what that means, and all of them, including the League of Dastardly Doom or the Legion of Evil having multiple members. All of the Legion of Evil's members and all of the leaders of all of these groups all have cards. Now, the story didn't show us all of the pictures of all those people, and I understand that, although at the same time I would have liked it. But all that meant for us was that we opened up a separate tab, pulled those creatures up, and we were like, oh, that's what this guy looks like, or this woman looks like, or whatever. So we were able to kind of have that background information for ourselves, kind of looking at the spoilers, on, like I said, on a separate tab, which is a little less convenient than if they were just in the stories for us to see. But there were a couple of pictures, which my second favorite thing was X from the Agents of Sneak, where you find out that Phoebe is their leader, at least according to the card and the report, and it was at the time that report was given, but that it changes frequently. I think they said 16 times in a month or a couple months, because it's whoever, the real leader of the Agents of Sneak is whoever owns the Golden Ruler, which mainly 3 people have been paying this guy X to go around and steal it from the other people so that they can have it and become the ruler. Or I just got that. I'm real bad. Anyway, wow. Because I was like, no, not ruler, leader. Wait, I get it. Sorry, Mark. I didn't get your joke until just now. It took me that long.
Don't apologize to him.
Sickness brain. I'm gonna chalk it up to sickness brain, and we're not gonna talk anymore about it. Deal?
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Joe's sick. That's what it is. Anyway. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was informative. I thought it was a little bit of everything. And I thought that it did a good job of presenting the material to us in such a way that, you know, I don't necessarily need another unstable story. If they give it to me, I won't be upset until I've listened to it, and if it's an issue, I'll talk about it. But if they give me another one, great. But if they don't, I know a lot about this set now. I get why there are crossbreed cards. I get why the Goblin Explosioneers roll dice, and why Steam Flogger Boss. The joke that was made about Steam Flogger Boss in this story, I genuinely hope that Mark Rosewater had this joke as like the main reason for why he wanted to write this story.
Oh.
Because that joke, I loved it. I loved every second of that joke. And the joke, I wrote it down so that I could get it properly correct. That he said, or the student said, that a long time ago, one Steam Flogger Boss wandered into town, and it led to all sorts of speculation. Because they didn't know what the Goblin Explosioneers were doing inside of Steam Flogger Industries. And that one, the reason I did the finger quotes for town is because, sure, he wandered into town, he wandered into Future Sight, is really what it was. And everybody now knows, and Steam Flogger Boss, we now know, is going to be you have the possibility of opening Steam Flogger Boss in every pack, not just because he's one of the cards that could be in the pack, but because he will be replacing the basic land in some of these packs, so that you have multiple ways of making contraptions, since contraptions in and of themselves are also things that will be in this pack. So, I mean, I didn't need more of a reason to look forward to Unstable, but this story was really cool. I liked it. I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was funny, I thought it was informative, and I appreciated all of that.
Yeah, I thought it was creative. It had a good feel to it.
Agreed.
Because it was different. It was unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And well, it was unexpected because I didn't even know we were necessarily getting one today. Maybe I just wasn't reading the right stuff, but I didn't know we were getting a story today at all, so.
Maybe that'll be the next unset.
What's that?
Unexpected.
Nice. Very nice. It's definitely possible. I doubt it, but it's definitely possible.
Me too.
So guys, this has been another episode of JaAR. That was kind of a quick one, but it's because the story was good. You should go read it. If you still haven't, just go do that. It was good. There's really not much more we can say about it. But stay tuned to the channel. We will be opening Unstable. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes.
Obviously, I can't draft it on Magic Online because that's not how that set works. You have to have people around you, etc. But regardless, I'm going to be drafting it. I hope you guys are going to get to draft it in your local game stores, etc. In terms of staying around with the channel, you can click the subscribe button when it appears up here, our logo, and subscribe to find out when all of our videos come out. We have these videos every Thursday, reviewing the Magic stories.
Yes.
We have drafts, like I mentioned, from Magic Online every Saturday, and we have paper product openings every Monday. We just opened a bunch of Iconic Masters products, so you should definitely check that out as well. And so even though Unstable is considered to be a joke set, thank you for joining us as we sat here and showed off our...
Hashtag Vorthos Pride.
That's right, as always, because it was a great story and it was totally worth it. And we hope that you can join us in showing off yours as well by leaving a comment down below, talking to us, let us know what you thought of the story. Do you agree, disagree, why? Let us know. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. You can click that when it comes up, like I said. We have other videos on the screen. And also, Amy and Joe, if you are going to be there as well, you can see us. We are working on it right now, going to GP New Jersey.
Yes.
In a couple of weeks in mid-December. So if you guys are going to be there, come over and say hi.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right? Let us know who you are and if you like our stuff, and we would love to hang out and talk to as many of you as we can.
And show off your hashtag Vorthos Pride.
That too, as always, because that's our thing. This has been another episode of JaAR on Geek for All. I've been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And as we always say, guys, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.